Back in 1977, humanity decided to launch what was, essentially, a greeting card to the entire cosmos. I mean, think about that. It was the start of one of our greatest adventures, a real story of exploration, discovery, and just immense hope. So today, let's dive into that epic story, the Voyager missions.
It's the question that keeps us up at night, right? Are we alone in the universe? Are we the only ones looking up at the stars? Or is someone, or something, out there, looking back, asking the exact same thing? Well, back in the late 70s, NASA launched two spacecraft, Voyager 1 and 2, to try and get some answers. Now, their main job, their official job, was to explore our outer solar system. But they also carried something extra special, something else entirely. A message, literally a bottle thrown into the cosmic ocean, just on the off chance that someday someone might find it. So, what was this all about? Was this really a mission to find aliens? Well, the answer is kinda yes and no. Voyager had this really cool dual purpose that was, on one hand, incredibly practical, and on the other, just wildly ambitious.
Okay, so the first objective was all about the science, a grand tour of the outer planets. But that second goal, man, that was the real long shot. The idea was to send a tiny piece of who we are, a story of Earth, out into that vast, silent darkness between the stars. And here's the crazy part. This whole mission, this incredible journey, was only possible because of a cosmic coincidence, a perfect celestial alignment that gave us this tiny, tiny window of opportunity to pull off something truly extraordinary. You see, back in the late 70s, the four gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, they all lined up in just the right way. And this isn't something that happens every day. In fact, it only happens once every 175 years. This unique setup basically created a celestial superhighway, letting a spacecraft visit all four planets in one single trip. So, to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime shot, the engineers at NASA used this absolutely brilliant technique called a gravity assist. The best way to think of it is like a cosmic slingshot. Instead of loading the probes up with tons of fuel, they figured out how to use the planets themselves to get a speed boost. So, how does that even work? Well, it's pretty wild. The spacecraft flies up close to a planet, dips into its gravitational field, and basically steals a tiny bit of the planet's orbital energy. This whips the probe around and just flings it toward the next planet at a much, much higher speed. Seriously, it was an absolutely genius way to do a grand tour of the solar system on a budget. And wow, what a tour it was. Using this slingshot technique, the Voyagers gave us our very first close-up looks at the outer solar system. And the things they found, they didn't just add to our textbooks, they completely rewrote them. So they get to Jupiter in 1979. And what does Voyager 1 find? Active volcanoes erupting on its moon Io. These were the first active volcanoes ever seen anywhere besides Earth. Then it spotted these faint rings around Jupiter that we had no idea were there. And on top of all that, it discovered 3 new moons. Our whole understanding of Jupiter's system changed, just like that. And this is where the two probes took different paths, which really shows you the scope of the mission. After Saturn, Voyager 1 started heading up, out of the plane of the solar system. But Voyager 2, it kept going. It continued the grand tour, becoming the first, and get this, still the only spacecraft to ever visit Uranus and Neptune. Every single close-up picture we have of those distant ice giants comes from that one single, brief flyby. Isn't that incredible? So, with the planetary tour pretty much wrapped up, the mission entered its next, much lonelier phase. Before heading out into the great unknown for good, Voyager 1 was told to turn its camera around, just one last time, to take a final look back at home. And on Valentine's Day 1990, from 6 billion kilometers away, it snapped the photo. You've probably seen it, the pale blue dot. Earth is just a speck, less than a single pixel. The great astronomer Carl Sagan put it best when he said, "Look again at that dot. That's here, that's home, that's us." Everything and everyone we've ever known, right there on that tiny mote of dust. Now, to officially leave the solar system, Voyager had to cross a pretty major boundary. See, our sun creates this massive protective bubble all around the planets. It's called the heliosphere. And it's basically formed by this constant stream of particles called the solar wind. Voyager's next big job was to punch right through it. So, after taking that final photo, Voyager 1's cameras were shut down forever to save power. It just kept sailing on, silently for years and years. Then, in 2004, it crossed something called the termination shock. That's the point where the sun's solar wind starts to slow way down. And then, on August 25th, 2012, it happened. It finally pushed through the outer edge of that bubble and became the very first thing we ever made to reach interstellar space. But hold on, remember that other goal? The really ambitious one? The message. Well, attached to both spacecraft is this incredible package. It's a time capsule, really, designed to tell the story of planet Earth to any civilization that might stumble upon it, maybe thousands or even millions of years from now. Now, earlier missions like Pioneer 10 and 11, they carried a little plaque. It had a simple drawing of a man and a woman and a map of our solar system. But the Voyager team, led by Carl Sagan again, they wanted to do something more, something much richer. They created a 12-inch, gold-plated copper record, and they packed it full of the sights and sounds of our world. So what's on this thing? What did we actually send? Well, you've got 115 images showing science, nature, and human life. You've got spoken greetings in 55 different languages. You've got music from all over the world, everything from Bach to Chuck Berry. And then there are the sounds of Earth itself. Wind, rain, whales calling, a baby crying, a train whistle. It is, without a doubt, humanity's ultimate mixtape for the cosmos. But that begs a pretty big question, right? How would an alien civilization even play it? I mean, it's not like they have a record player just sitting around. Well, the record's cover actually has a set of instructions. It's like a cosmic IKEA manual. The diagrams are supposed to explain how to build a player and how to decode the images from the sounds. It's a huge, huge gamble, all based on the hope that science is a universal language. You know, what they chose to put on the record is just as interesting as how to play it. The committee, with Sagan in charge, made a very deliberate choice to present a hopeful, idealized version of humanity. They actually debated it quite a bit, but in the end they decided to send a message about our aspirations, not just our reality. So you won't find any images of war or poverty or disease. The Golden Record is a portrait of who we hope to be, a peaceful, curious, and diverse people. So that brings us to today. Where are these incredible messengers now? Well, they just keep on going, sailing silently through the void long, long after their main mission was over. Right now, Voyager 1 is over 24.7 billion kilometers from us. Let me put that in perspective for you. It takes light from our sun over 22 hours to get there. It is by far the most distant object humanity has ever made, just a tiny little emissary from Earth lost in the vastness of the Milky Way. But in one very real sense, its active journey is coming to an end. The plutonium power source that's kept it alive all these years is slowly fading. Scientists think that sometime around 2025, the last instrument will finally go quiet, and our connection to our farthest explorer will be lost forever. And after that, it'll just drift for eons. Maybe it'll never be found. And that leaves us with one last pretty profound thought. If humanity is long gone, say thousands or millions of years from now, will this little golden record be the only proof that we ever existed? Our final, hopeful message in a bottle, just sailing on and on through the stars.